So this is Pavel Durov, probably one of the most enigmatic figures in all of tech. He's the guy who built Telegram, one of the biggest communication platforms on the planet, basically by waging this quiet, relentless war for digital freedom. But to really get what Telegram is all about, you first have to understand the kind of Stoic philosophy of the man who built it.
All right, first, let's just wrap our heads around the scale we're talking about. Telegram recently blew past 1 billion active users. That is a massive, staggering global force. But the number itself isn't even the most mind-boggling part. It's how the entire platform is actually run.
And here's the central paradox, the thing that just doesn't seem to make sense. This billion-user global platform, it's maintained by a core team of only about 40 engineers. That's it. You've got competitors with tens of thousands of employees, and Telegram is out here innovating with this tiny elite squad. See, this isn't just some clever business strategy. It's a philosophy.
To really understand every single decision Durov makes, from why the team is so small to his constant fights with governments, you have to get to the root of his personal operating system. And for him, everything, and I mean everything, boils down to one single non-negotiable principle.
And this isn't just some nice-sounding quote you'd see on a poster. This is his guiding rule for everything. He genuinely believes that the biggest enemies of freedom are fear and greed. So he's basically engineered his life and his company to be immune to both. But where did such an intense conviction even come from?
Well, the whole thing goes way back to his childhood. When his family moved from the Soviet Union to Italy, he got hit with this incredible contrast between a society without freedom, which he saw as scarcity and a lack of choice, and a free society which was just bursting with an abundance of everything: goods, ideas, opinions. That lesson, it stuck with him for life.
Okay, so how do you protect a core value like that? How do you possibly withstand the immense pressure from the most powerful organizations on Earth? For Durov, he does it by building an unbreakable mind through this intense, almost stoic, personal discipline.
These are his personal rules for building immunity to outside influence. He avoids anything that could cloud his mind or, let's be honest, manipulate his thinking. So no alcohol, no addictive news feeds run by algorithms. By controlling his inputs, he believes he can withstand all those external pressures that force other people to compromise their values.
And this is the core belief right here. The hundreds of push-ups every day, the ice baths, the super strict diet, it's not really about health. For Durov, every single act of self-discipline is training for the real fight. It's exercise for that willpower muscle, so that when a government comes knocking, he has the strength to just say no.
And this intense personal philosophy, it isn't just a lifestyle choice, It's directly encoded into the very architecture of Telegram. The app is a literal reflection of its creator's principles.
This is his whole rationale for keeping that team so incredibly small. The more people you have, the more potential weak points there are. A bigger staff can be pressured, they can be bribed, or they can just make honest mistakes. By forcing his small team to automate absolutely everything, he builds a system that isn't just more efficient, it's way more secure and resilient.
So here's how that philosophy actually translates into tech. It's pretty genius. User data isn't just sitting in one big server farm. Nope, it's spread all across the globe in different countries with different laws. Then, the encryption keys you need to access it are split into parts and stored in totally separate locations. What this does is make it structurally impossible for any single government or even a Telegram employee to get their hands on private messages.
And the result of all that? Well, it's this unequivocal track record. Because of its architecture, Telegram has never, not once, turned over a single private message to any government or agency. Durov has said he would rather shut Telegram down an entire country than ever compromise on that principle.
So what happens when this immovable principle slams head-on into the full force of a modern state? Well, you get a real-life story that sounds so bizarre it's like something straight out of a Franz Kafka novel.
Picture this. It's August 2023. Durov flies to France for what he thinks is a quick 2-day trip. Instead, he's met on the tarmac by a dozen armed police. He gets accused of this long list of serious crimes that were allegedly committed by some Telegram users, and then he's held for almost 4 days in a windowless concrete cell.
I mean, this move was completely unprecedented. Never before has the founder of a major tech platform been held personally responsible for the actions of its users. It was a clear attempt to apply maximum pressure, and many people described it as just a shocking overreach of power.
But this is where you see that Stoic's discipline really kick in.
Instead of breaking him, Durov claims the pressure only strengthened his resolve. He refuses to compromise, saying he would rather lose everything than give in to pressure that violates his principles and the privacy of his users. All that training of the self-discipline muscle, it was for moments exactly like this.
You know, Durov's story really forces us to confront a central conflict of our digital age. For him, the price of defending digital privacy has literally been his own physical freedom. It kind of makes you wonder, in a world of ever-increasing surveillance, what price are the rest of us actually willing to pay for a private conversation?